Hey guys, so I just, for whatever reason, figured I'd jump into the ring and give my thoughts on the whole uh, somewhat controversy around the casting of Vivi in the One Piece live action. So I think, like most people, when I watched Alabasta, I'm just going to pronounce it as Alabasta because that's what I'm comfortable with. When I watched Alabasta first in One Piece, the anime, my mind thought of Alabasta as an Arab coded nation, right? Everything was sort of Arab coded. So when the thought came to casting Vivi in the live action, my mind was going towards casting a Arab actress, a Middle Eastern actress, to portray Vivi. Right? In my mind, you get like Middle Easterners to portray the people within the Kingdom of Alabasta, and so on and so forth. So I was part of the crew or the group of people who are unhappy. Obviously there was a wide range of us. Some are genuine racists, but I was part of a group of people who were quite unhappy with the casting that they picked someone of a darker skin tone. Now you can obviously tell I have a darker skin tone myself. So my disagreement was purely based off the fact that I genuinely felt that this should have been an Arab actress, right? And her father too, and so on and so forth. I guess recently though, I've sort of watched a few videos about it, and I came to learn that there is some Indian motifs that went into the creation of Alabasta. I'll point out specifically that the main castle is sort of somewhat similar to the Taj Mahal, right? And it's on a forgive me, it's on a raised platform, which is somewhat similar to another castle, which is in India that's on a raised platform as well. And so there are some Indian motifs there. I don't know what else beyond that. This is just like some surface level one, I mean. Um, just me, like, I didn't do like deep research into it. But the point I'm trying to get across here is that there definitely is some Indian motifs in there as well, but it is heavily Arab coded despite this. But you can I'm starting to see now the argument behind why they had BVB, someone of a darker skin tone. So on the one hand, people are saying that, well, it's in like a desert, right? So it makes sense that they're dark skinned. But then, Arab people have lived for thousands of years in the desert and they're not dark skinned. So there's like two sides to that argument as well, because, Arabs exist and they're not as dark skinned, but they live in a desert. But then at the same time, her family would have had to have been ruling in the desert for a very long stretch of time. Someone, if I'm wrong, you can correct me, but I'm pretty sure that castle that is the capital of Alabasta has been there for well over 4,000 years, maybe 10,000. I can't remember if I'm getting this. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me, but it's like several thousands of years. So there is some logical arguments within the universe to have Vivi and her people, especially if they've been living there for several thousands of years, be of the much more darker complexion, right? And so I can see why it's logical to lean into the Indian as like features of them, and then make that argument to cast actors with South Asian Indian actresses instead of Middle Eastern. But I did watch like a few videos of like Middle Eastern people and talking about how this could have been a chance for them to pick a Middle Eastern actress and then do like some. I mean, I'm not someone who's like a Wookiee, so I don't necessarily care too much about the representation argument, but on some element too, it's good to have that as well. So it would have been nice to have seen some Middle Eastern like people portrayed and actors, and some opportunities for them or whatever. So I do feel for them in that part. And I do think that, especially if you're a Middle Easterner and you're watching One Piece live action and you're a fan, there's always going to be that chip on your shoulder as you're watching the show, because you're going to feel like this should have been one of us portraying this role. And so I kind of feel for Middle Easterners in particular with having that. So right now, as it stands, I'm okay with this. I've made peace with it and I'm okay with it. I think it's fine. In my perfect version of this show, it would have been a Middle Easterner. But I see the logic behind the arguments and stuff, and so I'm okay with it that it's a South Asian actress. And on the one hand too, I've never watched any of her shows, but I see clips about it. She's a good actress and she's good looking too, so I'm pretty sure she'll do a good job. And if she knocks it out of the park, it'll make it much more easier to, like, much more palatable that they chose her rather than some other actress. And I'm just guessing she might be talented enough to do that, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. But otherwise, yeah, that's where I am right now. I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic about it, cautiously optimistic about it, but I do feel for especially Middle Eastern people in particular who might have feel like they got robbed of a role here. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this whole situation.